Whether the
Yes,
larger
sir.
screen is visible now, sir?
Yeah, yeah. It's okay.
Is my audio clear?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Very good evening to all the participants. So I'm happy to be the part of this second session on international marketing for logistics and supply chain. So with respect to supply chain, we are entering into the second module of screening the applications and internationalizations of markets with respect to the new entry and as well as competing with the existing entry. So it is better to make sure that everyone is following the previous module. Make sure that everyone has a thorough follow of the previous module so that it will have a clarity towards primary attainment of we are entering the foreign market and making the right degree of control and entering into the ownership potential for profitability index. In order to ensure the right profitability index, what are all the phenomenal evidences we need to create, or what are all the targets in which we can of data, and based on the right ensuring correctness of data, identify the method study. So as we did in the previous module, the method study, the participants, and the way of franchising it into the next level is going to deliberately talk on some agenda or some category which is to be noted down with the topmost priority and making all the sharing of information. And those informations are ensuring the correctness towards attaining the data which is on par with the contract basis. And based on the contract basis, what are all the brand awareness and what are all the variation check we are going to do. And based on the outcome, we are going to freeze the continuum. So it is something which is going to give me a equity-based mode for liberations and minimizing differences with marketing. So in order to tune up the tolerances and as well as the entry-level mode adjustments, it is better to freeze them for making a right range for analyzing the export and as well as the import commitment towards the subsidy. So to put it into a nutshell, the entire frame talks about the equity analysis and as well as the joint venture and making the right strategic alliances. So the frame is equally contributing to the alliances factor, and making the right alliance will give me a profit potential, and giving a right profit potential will make me to omit or ignore the dark phases of any business management. I repeat, the dark phases of worst management, which is to be highlighted. So whenever it is being deliberately done with the future scope of business, the analysis, what and all we are doing right in market, and as well as the basic proper analysis, has everything to be connected in a contextual manner in order to attain the entire greenfield venture. So the greenfield venture, what and all we are planning, or what and we are going to highlight it, is going to be on different amenities and as well as the different property check, so that it is going to give me a distributional analysis towards direct exporting. So once if I get into a direct export, what are all the possible questions a scholar may get? It is as simple as direct exporting. A scholarly individual like you people will have exposure to trading companies and making a right financial risk analysis. And these things are going to give you a form of control for a right proximized distribution and as well as the proximized way of marketing and getting the feedback then and there. So the word proximity, I insist here, I stress the word proximity because it is going to be a exactly planned one. And that exactly planned one is going to allow only the permissible and feasible market entries. It is not going to accept any kind of allowances which is outside the world interaction. So rather than it is going to focus on the tangibility and intangibility of a particular property, which is to be made as strategically aligned. So for a better strategic alignment, what are all the preferences or what are all the precautionary measures we can take? It is basically we start with the direct exporting and then getting into a contract, signing MOUs or making a letter of agreement or signing legal perspectives of articles of associations or memorandum of associations and then adhering to the articles. After adhering to the articles, we are into the selection phase. So it is better to get into this particular selection phase without any interferences will lead to lack of profitable alliances. I underline the word profitable alliances rather than getting an alliance which is no way connecting me towards any predictive model or the resilience, what and all we are going to predict with respect to the features. For example, if I get into a particular context of international switching, so this is the open forum I am posting it on. So if anyone analyzes the question problem, actually the question problem is divided into three components. The first component is definition of characteristic. The second component is manufacturing distinguishing factor, and the third component is contract. So by analyzing these three components, I need your answers right from A, B, C, D, which is going to be the suitable option for the context of ISCM. So what is the meaning of ISCM and how I'm going to make sure that participants who are all connected towards an ISCM and how it is ensuring the rightness. So I need your answers, either A or B or C, D. Choose the best context, always getting connected into a legalistic way. So I need your responses. Thank you, sir. The ordering customer provides or sources all raw materials. What about others? Opposite answer, accepting the answer of Mr. Chandrasekhar, sir. Answers fine. Go with the answer of Mr. Chandrasekhar. Some customer provides or sources of materials. Why we need to focus on of orders and what are all the formal elements and process are what are all the other options are going to tell. Answer B is the right option. But what about the other options? We need to analyze whether these are all the contributors to the context of overall manufacturing. It talks about distribution, it talks about JVs, it talks about finalization. After all these things are making into reality, let me come into a final statement that by ranking JVs and by ranking alliances, will I be in a position to understand the product market and whether the product market is sustainable one, or if not, what are all the things I need to recollect or re-prepare for making the entire structural framework. So when I go for integrated joint venture or internationalization of joint venture, I need to understand some composite elements, and those composite elements are dominant to each other, and even subsidy element will start dominating the fundamental element. So in those management ventures, we should be very clear that whether it is going to be a inter-dominant or intra-dominant joint ventures. So coming to inter-dominant first. So when I contribute the functional managers to get into executives and as well as the board of directors, it is going to complete within the panel. So it is going to be intra. Suppose in my case, if I take as intra or as well as inter to the competency, I'll be getting the opinion from the other people who are all competent to me, who are all in the rank 1 or rank 2 or rank 3, who are all the rankers ahead me. So I'll be in a position to understand the equity, ranking, and the control, whether it is on equal sharing, whether it is negotiable or non-negotiable. So everything has to be detoxified in such a way to note down whether it is permissibly given to the management or if it is not so, what is the remedial measure. So I need to make three things clear in this frame. Number one is generally if I go for make a right identification. Number one, first point in this functionalization is direction, whether I'm getting a proper direction. Number two, most importantly, we need to focus is executive analysis. I need to prefer who is my right executive, and I need to go for the executive to get into the role play, whether the delegation or in- going to be the focus or the phenomenon which is being deliberately done in order to ensure the contractual alliances and as well as the firm attainment or properly made. So in order to make contractual alliances, to prefer, it is better to or it is probably connected timing. So this some is my voice audible? Is that disconnected in between or it is going continuously? Am I audible to everyone? Is my voice? Yes. Fine, fine, fine. Thank you. I have some signal issues over here. Thank you. Thank you. Fine. Now it is fine, right? Right. So with respect to the overall factors, what are all the things we are going to highlight and how I am going to prepare for the futuristic version and whether these versions are highlightable and making the right contractual. And after all these alignments are being done, whether the developmental factors are formally making the alignments or not, I need to check it in other version. So once after these versions are predefined, I'm going to get a contractual association with respect to incorporating the new values to the strategic alignments. So on and off, we have limitations to go together. We have some developmental factors, and there is some informal way of connecting the managerial leaders from various different locations. And that informal way will give a obligation, will give a wrongness in report, and will ensure the administration is not proper. And we may be in a situation to have sufficiency in obligation, sufficiency in association, and as well as the contractual alliances or track. So it is better that if I take a right direction towards making a better reports is the final option in which we can take the sufficiency in direction correction. So I repeat, strategic alliances or in directional corrections then and there. After making the directional corrections, it is going to be on par with record. So SA is nothing but just nothing but on percentage of fluctuations in market. So this fluctuations in market is what it is being posted in chat box. So I need you people to rank from 1 to 5, whether fluctuations or neutral or the as you disagree or you agree. So kindly hear me with respect to one, so that they'll get an idea of our opinion about fluctuation. So whether you are agreeing the fluctuations, give 5. If not, give 1 or 2. And if you are not aware about the fluctuations, give me 3. So kindly put ranking in chat box so that we get an idea about your fluctuations in market. Anyone in the chat box? So kindly post your options. Are you all connected? Kindly post your options from 1 to 5. Strategic elections. Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Fine. With respect to the query, what and all we discussed in the upcoming iterations, we are in the phase of making a right judiciary approaches, and those judiciary approaches are entering into market. And after entering into market, we are in the frame of making a right connection, and that connection is going to be on market entry. Based on the market entry, how I'm going to go for these kind of analysis. What is the lowest level or what is the highest level I need to clarify. So out of the entire 4 options, again, there is a poll out of all 4 options. Equally, they are contributing, but which is the primary contributor? So I need the answer for primary contribution so that it will give you a clarity about whether it is connecting with the strategic alliance or whether it is connecting with acquiring as an individual sole proprietor, or it is going to give you a venture which is open forum. Whenever it is being least controlled or the top most controlled, what are all the handover elements and what are all the betterment in making a right connection for a strategic management, and as well as we discuss policy, portfolio, peculiarity, and making it a 5 forces model which is given by Portas. So as a strategic model is considered, we have Portas 5 forces model, and that Portas 5 forces model is a vital example for making a right force into reality. So this Portas 5 forces model, I'm posting it in chat box, which is a better option. So Subhash sir, thank you sir. Option C again. Option C. Thank you for your responses. So answer is exporting. We need to focus is on acquiring JV. In that JV, we have international JV and as well as integrated JV. So both the JVs, what and all we are providing today, are increasing their potentials and making the gap filled. So to know what is my exact gap of market, I need to understand whether the communication reaches the end user or not. I repeat the question again. The communication must reach the end user. The context here is whenever we are facing the session physically, it will be even more better or even more clear for me to note down, for me to understand. If not, what is the problem or what is the situation? How I am going to end up the situation in a better way. So whether these options are given to every individual who is associated or not. If not, what is the problem? If yes, what is the problem? So I need to make sure that every situation is going to have a clarity towards attaining the purpose, attaining the possibility, attaining the next levels of identification. Then only we can go with the new purpose of business action. So those business actions are to be attained with respect to the factors, with respect to the clarity, and with respect to the overall evaluations of pattern. So I repeat the most important term, what we are sticking on with respect to the factor is mostly highlighted, is mostly preferred in all the making a clarity towards attainment. Most alliances what are having a day, which is preferred day one practice, then only it is reaching the platform. I repeat the so Again, it is breaking. I hope so. Now is my voice clear? I hope the big screen is not supporting in my device. So let me post it as a subsidy document so that you'll have a clarity. Now my screen is visible. I hope so. The big screen is not supporting. So let me continue with the same agenda. So with respect to the factors, what and all we had a separate entity is going to be in a particularized favor or particularized limitation. And that limitation will have a clarity towards informal management and as well as the formal management. And based on the answers what you have given, like exporting, I need to map the bridge of making a right market and then integrating the problems with all the philosophy. And those philosophy, what and all we are going to get is from the initial investment or the initial plan where we can internationally speak or internationally connect with the real-time zones. So those real-time zones are regularly being mapped with the SDGs, as I told in the upcoming class, that is Sustainable Development Goals. So sustainable development goals are 17 in number, and every day we are aligning our day-to-day activities with respect to business with those goals. Once after identifying the map of these goals, whether it is so public connected or not, what the question is. So the factors would all be enable with respect to communication or with respect to bridging the mapping of gap and then targeting the alignments and misalignments and finally understanding the market is whether feasible or not feasible. So on a whole, I can distinguish the market into two. Number one is favorable and number two is unfavorable. So when I consider favorable, the difference is what and all we are taking as sport as five forces model, what I displayed in the bearable functions and what I displayed as a non-bearable functions are mostly important with respect to the overall deliverable. So under Porter's five forces model, we have policies, we have acquisition, we have mergers, we have primary focuses of five level leadership. So how the leaders are being made and what is the probability in which we can aim on the preparing level. So whether it is a waiting level or a preparing level, I need to check it out. And then only we can come out with our flying outcomes. So the successful outcomes, what and all we are expecting today is going to be the judiciary pattern. So legally speaking, we need to have a judiciary pattern between each and every filaments. And I cannot take a open action or open statement with respect to the interpretation of my previous statistical analysis. So it is better to get into an existing pattern and make the existing pattern into real-time zones. And once after the real-time zones are identified, then it is easily exported and getting into the wholesome activity. The holistic approach, what we can enable here is authenticated and mind mapped with my regular outcomes as I shout out the numbers. So generally, my app or flashcard we use for checking our own self or evaluating the patterns. It is better to go for individual evaluation rather than group evaluation and make sure that these group evaluations are repeatedly done with purpose oriented and purpose oriented. And when it is purpose oriented, it is going to be on controllable commitment. When it is people oriented, it is going to be on key differences. And when it is product or outcome oriented, it is going to change the mode. So in what way it is going to change the mode and what way it is going to design or structure the market is what today's expectation is. And based on that expectations, we are in the phase of aligning the assets and choosing our labor. So when I choose the right labor, obviously I can immediately give access to the production department and I can increase the stimulation of existing markets. And if it is not so, obviously I need to rework on the team allocation again. So it is better to focus on the right design team, right marketing team. Even if I post a YouTube video, it must be with proper thumbnails. Even if I post a awareness flyer, it must be with proper formats. Then only I can post the flyer into the social media, or then only I can attain the objective with the real-time scope. So as we talk about scope, It is to be with strategy, captainship, leadering, and then making a right organizing, propagation, execution. So everything has to be revised then and there to connect the dots in the upcoming units and modules. So whenever we are attaining on these objective, it is going to be an objective-based managerial approach. So based on the objective-based managerial approach, I need to transfer the preferred service, which are all specialized today. And every day we are increasing the analysis between execution and the finalization. Whether it is our own personal department or whether it is a hired consultant, we are going to deliberately open up some task and then only we are going to give the task to the outsider. Once if we are not clear with the task or once if we are not clear with the production department, we cannot assign that same task to the consultant. We cannot extract the work from the outsider. So it is very simple that yes, everyone works in a team. We all know about how a management thinks and how manpower cutting is being done daily and what are all the ups and downs we are facing in our company, which is non-justifiable. As everyone practically experience it, it is not going to be a teaching module. And since industrial portfolios are increasing day by day, we need to combine some unit portfolios and manipulated ideas to ensure the computational analysis is being done with a proper wholly owned subsidy. So as we get into a project, let me post a term. So this term is WBS. So everyone works in a project. Could anyone give me full form this W for this WBS? What we term it in project management? Anyone could give me the meaning for this WBS in chat box? Is there anyone working on this? Kindly ping the answer in the chat box. Are you all connected? What is WBS to all the participants who work on in a project? Anyone? Work breakdowns. Very good, sir. Thank you, sir. So with respect to work breakdown structure, WBS is work breakdown structure. How do we delegate the task and how do we make it as a simplified tablet for taking the task into the reality and converting the reality into product and the product into portfolio. So it is better that when we see it as a wholesome task and when we see it as a minute task. So to be very precise, what I could make in a stream of project management function is I can take things out from a competition and I can make it as a non-competitive product or module by understanding that the capability of the product is not so that much worth enough so that we can take a alternate direction stating that the competition is not severe. So when you try to understand when the competition is not so that much severe, obviously there is no need of struggling like anything for me to justify my international marketing to the people of audience who is working strongly for me. And that mistrust has to be removed. That mistrust is over there for a longer tenure and mistrust has to be removed. So for removing those mistrust, what are all the mitigational errors we can come out with? So the basic evaluation pattern, what we can try it out is the risk factor and as well as the collaborational factor. So two things we are going to take away from this particular topic, that is risk alliances and collaborative alliances. So when you talk about the partnership, actually, since it is seen as a one line, but there are patterns and patterns of content behind these technological acquisition and risk analysis. So how many patterns we are going to work with? How the company is defining the pattern? Whether the pattern is adaptable to everyone? If not so, what is the change of pattern? So these are all the possible questions a team will be getting before getting exposure to the particular task. So it is very simple that as an individual, we may evaluate, we may go for delegation, we may go for crisis situation, we may have ups and downs in our team. But as a experienced employee, how an individual will think for removing the barrier of international marketing and not making the exposure that much relevant to the real-time expectation. So I underline the word not up to the mark of real-time expectation. So why I'm stressing on this word is real-time expectation is something which is good and better, but when it is coming to reality, it is not so. We have a huge gap, and that huge gap has to be removed from the differential factors and make sure that the market segmentation is done. And based on the market segmentation only, we can fix on with the strategic alliance. And then only we can justify the alliances suitably done and make sure that these alliances are coming out with the successful colors. So the objective of alliance is to come out with the better profit, better production, better efficiency compared with the previous cycle. So cycle by cycle, we need to plan. We need to have a roadmap. How many cycle I'm going to have and how the cycles are performing, whether these cycles are properly done or not. If not, what is the issue? So these are all the rectificational measure I need to do it in order to ensure that the proper reception is there for nominating the segments. And once after nominating these segments, I need to assign individuals to post their expectation in a common platform as like a performance 365 or bazaar 365 or like as we have it in our computer science like object oriented approach. So we need to have a prototype stating that it is a common platform. So as like a suggestion box, anyone can drop their suggestions and they can come out with their outcome. So by consolidating the outcome, we can take out a common decision, and that decision will be the finalized one by the concurrence of board of directors and the governing council body members. So by getting all the concurrences, situation to take a remedial measure, and that remedial measure is mentioned for taking the right direction. So the blur, what we see, it is not exactly the blur. It is a boundary. It is a distinction factor between connected and not connected business environments. And it has been made sure that the occurrences, the priority, and as well as the indication all put together, what we call it like O contribution I, that is OCI in marketing, that is occurrences contribution index. So once after occurrences contribution indexes is being done, then we can take a right step towards adhering to the concepts. And mostly it is not so blur. It is still having a clarity in the vision and it is having the connection between smoothing factor between each and every term. So the industrial expectation in today's socio-economic situation is to avoid rivalry. So in order to avoid a rivalry, what are all the possible outcomes we can take? So the rivalries are more in number today. So those rivalries are to be counted. So we can take a sample of one, two, three in a particular company. So what are all the one, two, three rivalries in a company? And make sure that these rivalries are not repeated in the upcoming interconnection of each and every company. So it is most significantly contributing to the making of each and every rivalries and those rivalries to be not repetitive or not business repetitive, especially business repetitive. It should not be business repetitive, and then only we can understand the interconnection between company expectation and employee expectation. So the better the prospect or the better the boundary we create, it is better to have a clear-cut understanding and it is going to reach the significance. So in all the basis of strategic alliance, whether it is essentially growing or significantly growing, we need to take a side on. So once after making the right impression, what are all the installations we have done? What are all the multiplications we have done? Whether the aspirations and reachabilities are on in track. If not in track, what is the next takeaway? So these are all numerous number of questions we have. So based on the answers what we get from our seniors, we can decide and we can phrase the framework stating that it is going to be the one which is given as a suggestion by the predecessor. So what we take it out in this forum is PSR, that is predecessor successor ratio. So how many predecessors are there in my curriculum? How many successors are there? Based on that only I can judge whether the syllabus is required for the upcoming semester or not. So syllabusly basic is a function of an academician, like which in an industry, a TL will take a decision based on the predecessor and the successor of the same team. So that is going to be the backup approach and as well as the top down and bottom up approach is what and all we practically learn. So thus it is going to give you a significant outcome. And finally, it is going to end up in a WBS enabled, task enabled, target enabled, controlled enabled mechanism. So once I structurize or hierarchically phrase this mechanism, the new capability or the new manipulations and the new mechanisms, what and all we have identified will last for around 3 or 5 years. I can give you a promise that my hierarchy or my cycle times may last for another 5 years. For example, till 2030. So once after 2030, what are all the changes in pattern? Once after 2030, what is the next levels of pattern? Whether these patterns are manipulated in a better way or not, how to exercise it, how to recover this has to be noted down. So in order to make it as a overall consolidation, there are certain things to be highlighted. Those things has to be noted down with the new versions and new phenomenon for recreating this process. So whenever it is going to make sure that it is not so, to make sure the analysis of each and every condition, it is better to reach the logistical pattern in order to attain the overall eligibility. So let me show a important agenda of clarifying the entire segment in this particular frame so that you'll have a clarity on how it is ensured on the other patterns too. So this pattern, what we are going to reshare it again is from the pattern of identification of different green logistics and as well as the barriers which are all physically and systematically present. So let me show this pattern from the open perspective of attaining this. So there is a block diagram. So that particular block diagram is going to be the KPI or the original KPI of each and every segment. So this key performance indicator or the key functional area, it is a first level practice. It is a eco-friendly practice and it is the logistical operation which is increasing the sustainability. So when I try to increase the sustainability, it is going to be a overall outcome. So now my question is whether it is sustainable oriented or logistics oriented or competency oriented. So I put three options before you. So you can choose one out of which is rank one, which is rank two, and which is rank three. So you can post your answers in chat box. So when I try to connect with respect to sustain, eco-friendly logistics operation and competency-based operations, it is better for me to highlight the elements which are all most importantly termed as packaging. So as a part of the intermediate control, I need to take a right direction towards the various detection. So before getting into this particular frame, I need any one options which is ranked first, whether competency or sustainability or logistics. Any one answer from your side? Apart from those who are responding often, I need responses from others too. Any new responses apart from the usual responders? Am I audible to everyone online? Please do respond. Out of three options displayed in chat box, which is the rank number one and which is rank number two and which is rank three. Anyway, myself is concerned, I take competency as rank one. I give the justification for this. Why I take competency as rank one is without competency, I could not say I can sustain. So only then if I have a competency in market and I can assure that I can predict the market and then only I can sustain. So everyone goes for sustain first. But for sustaining, I need competency. So I take one as my competency. So I post it in chat. So this has to be the justification given by the host. So I left to the criteria of all the other members online. So let me post the other important frame in the same concept where we can increase the competency. Next most important frame is, yes, these are all the real-time challenges what we face in our logistics management. So when I try to market it interruptly, it is going to have a disruptive innovation. It is going to rise up with some basic cost increments and basic shortage of workforce management. And finally, it is going to have real-time threats between cyber securities patterns too. So there are some real-time intellectual property rights, IPR. So those IPR, what we call it like intellectual property rights, has to be displayed openly. And those open display of IPR into real-time segment kindly have a reference of less than 3 years of IPR. If you take less than 3 years of IPR, it will give you a clarity about whether it is really engaging or competent or not. So for high competency, take IPR. So that will be the next level equivalency of high competency is just to equivalent of making a right identification. So it's nothing but how well we are connected with the scope of business action. So those business actions are into real-time world of ideologies, idea frames, innovating design patterns or application patterns. So both design application patterns are open. You have lots and lots of design application patterns today as of IPR.gov.in. So we have this overall IPR levels in which we are enabling ourselves in all the design and application patterns. Whether these patterns are real-time fluctuation or not. If not, so what is real-time IPR India? So whether this IPR India or IPR Go.in, so these are all the referral portals in which we can target. And those targets are really into team or not. If not, what is the scope? If yes, what is the gap? So either scope and gap, whether it is reachable to the market or not. So what and all the terms I have posted in chat box has to be noted from your side for taking the most important MCQs and decision making with respect to the threats aspects of right involvement towards IPR. And finally, let me give a most daring session of logistics and supply chain into real-time segment, that is strategic logistics planning. So for a better SLP, so as like SOP, SLP is important for us. As like standard operative procedure, we have SLP, and this SLP is most important and vibrant towards ideation and targeting it into the next level. And then only we can create strategic logistics planning is going to be on forecasting, inventory analysis, tactics towards transformation, the scope of business action, and finalizing the outcomes based on risk planning. So once after doing all these things, what will be the outcome? Why we are doing this? It is very simple to know the technology, but it is hard for us to retain the technology. I repeat the word. It is hard for us to retain the technology. So tech retention. So this tech retention is the next team which is going to increase day by day for making a real-time update on a right technology based or automation based enabled learning. So all the points, bullet points listed in this frame is going to be a real-time scope of analyzing it from the educational series. So we are into Edu series of 12 numbers. So this Edu series is again going to hit the market where we can enable all the technology enabled classroom teaching can be made as Edu series, similar to web series. So if I take episode 1 to episode 10, I may take a syllabus and I can complete the syllabus by watching 10 episodes. So it is again going to be a strategic academic plan. So similarly, if I make a strategic logistic plan, it is going to hit the market. And there is no second doubt about it. It is going to hit the market with a new feature, with a new update, with a new accountability, and with a new strategic outcome. So the plan, what and all we adhere is, and adhering to those plan is simply making us to run behind the evaluation pattern. So these are all the ways in which we can market on. So we can take the yeah. So the same time project work, you can take it out as a title of your project and you can work on this particular research area. How to go for carbon reduction? What are all the practices in which we are shifting from non-biodegradable to biodegradable materials for marketing it internationally? So to be a part of or a position of an international market, what should be the common universal goal? If I take a universal goal and if I work it on, I can easily be a part of this international market. These things, what is the overall outcome we can come into this? By having a pattern, by taking a real-time situation, by taking the real runs uh, non-negotiable, non-negotiable, so in order to ensure the most important version is going to be on real-time feature of right option. So the right option, what we are going to take it here is going to be on two different zones. That particular zone is going to be on sharing of criterion and making a strong key identifier. And the key identifier is going to rule the market of different strategy. So I'll take a position stating that the green logistics is going to be on real-time fluctuations of business market. And based on the fluctuations of business market, we are in the phase of implementing information systems and we are in the phase of implementing the problem statements. And then we are coming up from a specific situation and that is increasing the consumer's preservation rate. So I insisted again for a marketing and logistical combined research work. Please adhere to customer retention activity and to make them aware whether these qualities are literally followed or not, and give them a clarity or conduct a campaign or go in person, interact with them, make them understand marketing is not present in some of the logistical field. For increasing the participation of marketing people in logistics field, try to be a contributor, try to be the provisional allocator, or try to be the most important feature which is going to be on real-time zones. So these are all the complications and preferences what we have, right? And not in transition. It is applicable only in penalization, but it is not present in transition rates. And those transitions are decreasing in return on investment, decreasing in electrification process, making the typical justification and a right justification, we are in the phase of increasing the requirement. So then comes the point of financial controllers and other market controllers. So these segments what we discuss in the most important frames. I'm not highlighting on all the frames. Some frames are marketing related. Those marketing related frames alone I'm segmenting. So when I target on distribution, it is to be potential customers. And target on market information, I need to take a right decision. Measure. Then only I can confirm that it is going to make a right recognition towards competency and other improvisation in customer relations. So these are all the terms in which we need to, and these are the connections with the overall logistics policy as of NLP 2023 is also insisting on marketing people to get contributed. So NLP 2023 followed by 2025, we are in the phase of working on with marketing connections. So marketing successes factors are being allocated. So marketing has to be focused on NLP 2023, the sustainable development. And then it is a chain. It is not a statutory framework. It is a chain, which is going to give you the innovation and logistical segment and make a right improvisation and transparency and facilitating the stakeholders too. So I put a word as an end node. So as a regulatory framework, what are all the possibilities or what are all the anticipatory elements we can have and how we can predictive it or preventive or collaborative ecosystem can be made even from a layman, even from a layman till a technician, they may get adapted to the situation. So I cannot say it is not a cup of tea. Everyone can able to access this logistics irrespective of their domain. That is what the most important term. I repeat the word irrespective of any domain. So there is no individual attention towards partnering. It is to get into a retail segments or it is get into a sustainable segments where we can highlight the standardized practices, preferences, predominant activities, betterment. Everything starts from the single directional identification. But after identifying this single directional identification, we need some data convergence. We need some anticipatory elements for me making a right choice. And then only we can come forward to approach. So these are all some preventive methods and predictive methods we need to take it up. So I make it as a common conclusion like NLP is going to be equalized factor of addition in logistics, additive logistics, what we call it like. So this additive logistics is going to be the most important additive logo. So this additive logo is going to be the new plan given by NLP, which is a central government initiative, which is to be integrated totally with AI systems and other anticipatory systems. So we are all working together for making the right pattern and making the right approach towards this feature. So with all these things, I'll close the session for today. So these are all some added frames. So I'll post the link of this frame in the chat box so that you'll get an idea. You can take it out. So you can take these contents for your preparation. Apart from these, any queries or doubts, you can post it in chat box. Or you can unmute yourself and you can come forward. Any doubts on the session?